Let's go Dolphins! There's a name quietly gaining traction behind the scenes, a decision that could divide the entire fan base, and a strategy that might finally reveal what this new management truly believes in. But here's the thing. What I'm about to tell you might not be what you expect. Before I explain everything, do me a small favor. Click the like button right now if you truly believe this team is heading in the right direction. If you still have faith that 2026 could be the year everything falls into place. And I want to see something in the comments. Type right now. I believe in the Dolphins, if you remain optimistic, no matter what happens on draft night. Because what comes next will drastically test that optimism. Now let's get straight into it, because this is where things get really interesting. According to ESPN draft analyst Jordan Reed, the Miami Dolphins are strongly linked to Utah offensive lineman Spencer Fanu with the 11th overall pick. And this isn't just random speculation. Sources around the league are indicating that Miami is a big fan of Fanu's versatility and skill set, believing he could step in immediately and contribute either at right tackle or even slide inside if needed. And when you look at the current state of the Dolphins' offensive line, this connection starts to make a lot of sense. Austin Jackson is heading into a contract year, and durability concerns are still hanging over him. On top of that, there are major question marks at both guard spots. The team experimented last season with shifting players around, but nothing truly locked in as a long-term solution. Right now, the only pieces that feel reliable are Aaron Brewer at center and Patrick Paul, who is still developing but showing promise at left tackle. Outside of that, it's uncertainty across the board, and that's exactly why this potential move is gaining traction. Fanu isn't just another offensive lineman prospect. He's widely viewed as one of the most athletic players in this class, capable of playing multiple positions along the line. His lateral quickness, ability to handle speed rushers, and effectiveness getting to the second level in the run game make him extremely appealing for a modern NFL offense. In fact, his 2025 pass protection numbers were outstanding. He posted an 82.1 grade and didn't allow a single sack, which is exactly the kind of reliability Miami has been missing. But here's where things get a little controversial. Some analysts don't even see him as a pure tackle at the next level due to slightly shorter arm length. There's a real debate about whether his best fit is actually at guard. And that creates a dilemma for Miami. Are you drafting a tackle at 11, or are you investing that high pick into a versatile lineman who might end up inside? Now let's connect another that Dolphins fans need to pay attention to. General Manager John Sullivan comes from the Green Bay Packers system, a franchise known for prioritizing versatile offensive linemen who can play multiple positions. That philosophy has been consistent for years, and it's very likely Sullivan brings that same mindset to Miami. So when you combine the Dolphins' urgent need on the offensive line, Fanu's versatility, and Sullivan's background, this potential pick starts to feel less like a rumor and more like a realistic scenario. But it's not that simple. There are still elite defensive prospects who could fall to Miami at 11 depending on how the board shakes out. And if someone like that is available, it could completely change the equation. Still, based on current projections, Fanu is ranked right around that 11th spot across multiple big boards, meaning he's very likely to be available when Miami is on the clock. So now the big question becomes, do the Dolphins play it safe and finally invest heavily in protecting their offense, or do they take a swing on a higher impact defensive playmaker if one unexpectedly falls? Because if Miami passes on a potential elite defender to draft an offensive lineman like Fanu, this fan base is going to be divided. And that's exactly why this situation is so fascinating right now. Because here's the twist that not everyone is talking about yet, and it could completely change how we view this pick on draft night. If the Dolphins do go with Spencer Fanu at 11, it's not just about plugging a hole on the offensive line. This could be the first clear signal of a philosophical shift inside the organization under John Sullivan. We're talking about a front office that may finally prioritize building a complete, stable offensive line instead of patching it year after year. And let's be honest for a second, this has been one of the biggest frustrations for Dolphins fans over the last few seasons. No matter how explosive the offense looked at times, everything always seemed to fall apart when protection broke down. And we've seen it in the biggest moments. That's why this decision carries so much weight. Because drafting Fanu isn't just about 2026, it's about setting the foundation for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, there's another layer to this that makes things even more intriguing. There are multiple scenarios being discussed around the league that could directly impact Miami's options at 11. One of them involves teams ahead of the Dolphins potentially reaching for offensive tackles earlier than expected. If that happens, Miami could suddenly find itself with a choice between Fanu and a higher-rated defensive prospect that unexpectedly falls. And if that happens, things get complicated. Because while Fanu brings stability and versatility, there are players in this class, especially on defense, who are viewed as true game changers. The kind of players that can shift the identity of a team overnight. So now imagine this scenario. The Dolphins are on the clock. Fanu is available, but so is a top-tier defensive talent that no one expected to fall. Do you stick to the plan and build the offensive line? Or do you take the best player available and potentially pass on fixing one of your biggest weaknesses? That's the internal debate happening right now, and it's very real. And let me add one more thing that might surprise you. There's also growing chatter that Miami could be active later in the first round as well, especially with pick number 30. If they go offensive line early, there's a strong possibility they pivot to defense with that later pick. That means this draft could end up being a two-step strategy: secure protection first, then add playmaking on the other side of the ball. And if that's the plan, it's actually a very balanced approach. But it all starts with what they do at 11. That pick is going to define everything. Because if Fanu comes in and delivers right away, locking down a position and giving the offense the protection it desperately needs, this could be remembered as a turning point for the franchise. But if they pass on a star defensive player who goes on to dominate somewhere else, Dolphins fans are never going to forget it. That's the risk. That's the pressure. And that's why this decision is one of the most important we've seen in years. Now I want to hear from you. Be honest. Because if we keep connecting the dots here, Dolphins fans, this situation might be even bigger than just one name on the board. What I'm hearing, and what's starting to become clearer as we get closer to draft night, is that Miami isn't just evaluating Spencer Fanu as a player, they're evaluating him as a solution. A long-term answer to multiple problems at once. Think about it. You bring in a guy like Fanu, and suddenly you're not just filling one position, you're creating flexibility across the entire offensive line. If Austin Jackson struggles or can't stay healthy, Fanu can step in. If the guard situation continues to be unstable, he can slide inside. That kind of versatility gives the coaching staff options they simply haven't had in recent years. And in today's NFL, that matters more than ever. But here's where things start to get really intense. There are teams picking ahead of Miami that could completely shake up the board in ways no one is fully prepared for. We're talking about potential surprise picks, trades, and reaches that could push unexpected talent right into the Dolphins' lap. And if that happens, this front office is going to be tested immediately. Because let's say one of those elite defensive prospects falls. A player who's graded significantly higher than Fanu. A guy who could instantly become one of the best players on your roster. Do you really pass on that? That's the kind of decision that defines front offices. And remember, this is John Eric Sullivan's first major move as the man in charge. This is his statement to the league. His chance to show what direction he wants to take this franchise. Does he follow the Green Bay blueprint, build through the trenches, prioritize versatility, think long-term? Or does he go bold and grab a potential superstar, even if it means leaving a glaring need unaddressed? And let me tell you something else that's been quietly discussed. If Miami does draft Fanu, it could signal that they are fully committed to protecting their offensive core moving forward. That means everything, from the play calling to the roster construction, could start revolving around stability, protection, and consistency. That's a very different identity from what we've seen in the past. No more patchwork fixes. No more short-term answers. This would be a commitment. But with that commitment comes expectation. Because if Fanu doesn't live up to the hype, if he struggles to find a true position, if the offensive line still underperforms, then this pick will be heavily questioned. And Dolphins fans won't stay quiet about it. At the same time, if he becomes that plug-and-play starter, if he solidifies the line and helps elevate